Okay, and we're back. Episode 1 of Witches Brew with myself, Erica. My Twitter handle is Curls in Sports. And Ashley, what is your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is Geeks and Cleats.
Shina?
Hi guys, you can see me or reach me at ShyMW, which is SHAIMW.
And Mildred?
Hey, hello everybody. You could see me at Twitter at Mildred Bar. That's V like Victor AR. Mildred Bar. Sorry.
Okay, cool. So everyone, we're here. We finally came up with a name to be a little more unique, and the Witches Brew, episode 1. So we're just gonna start with discussing Steve Harvey, Gilbert Arenas, and his WNBA comments, Star Wars, and of course a lot more. So for starters, we're gonna have to talk about, which is gonna be a fun topic, Steve Harvey and his Miss Universe catastrophe. Anyone want to lead it off?
Who's the
Nobody?
brave one? I'll start things off. Okay, so guys, you guys may remember Steve Harvey. He butchered the Miss USA, Miss Universe
Miss
one.
Universe. Miss Universe.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a second. He said Miss Columbia won when in fact it was actually Miss Philippines, and then chaos like ensued. So, what do you guys think about that? Was it really that big of a deal? I don't think it was.
Personally, I don't think it was that big of a deal, but then again, just having an international background, we as Americans don't take pageants that serious. It's kind of a joke for us, but other countries take Miss Universe very serious. That is like their crowning glory. So for them, being able to have those bragging rights is a big deal. I think what made it a bigger deal than it was him coming back on stage and then saying it was a mistake, and then them taking the crown off of Miss Columbia's head and putting it on Miss Philippines' head. That's kind of like a scene straight up out of a movie. So that's what made it hilarious to me. And all the memes that came afterwards, of course, because you know how I feel about Steve Harvey.
Of course. I honestly think that it was blown out of proportion too, because you're right, Shina. Like in this country, pageants really don't matter as much as they used to. Like I think it tried to make a comeback with that show on TLC, Toddlers and Tiaras. But this day and age, it's like, okay, they just awarded the wrong person. Let's just get over it. But my problem is the fact that if you see on social media, it's like now you have Colombians and Filipinos going against each other, saying that one is a sore loser when it was just a mistake. Like these women are competitors. Like they're, if anything, Miss Colombia today or yesterday, I forgot, but she went on social media and she was congratulating Miss Philippines. She said that she's beautiful, she's this, she's that, so she was a good sport. So I just didn't understand how Paris Hilton, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Paris Hilton also said that she was a diva, bitch, and whatever, which is a little uncalled for.
Well, I didn't see that.
Well, I actually saw a video today on Instagram where they were saying that a lot of stuff happened behind the scenes that we didn't see. So there was a video of one of the staff members, telling Miss Columbia to take the crown off of her head and give it to Miss Philippines, and she refused to do it, which is why the previous winner had to come back on stage and actually physically do it. So I think there are some things that we didn't see. And of course, Snapchat caught it all too, which was just
Snapchat did, yes.
so I think that's why Perez Hilton said that.
I saw the scene. When would that have happened though? Like, cause I saw that she was just standing. They were both just standing there, and then the girl just comes to take the crown off. I think they just didn't know what to do, cause it was like, those pageants are so choreographed that everything goes a certain way. So they expect it to go a certain way. So when that happened, I think they thought it was like, is this a joke or
Yeah,
what?
because one thing that I noticed is Miss Philippines was like, what? This didn't go according to script. She looked too like she expected it. And that totally looked so fake to me. So I think the winner probably already knows because she was like, Steve, you're not reading the right script. So that's one thing I noticed. And yeah, Americans, as someone who has American parents and so forth, we're not really into the pageants and stuff. So totally, I don't understand what like the international craze for it is. But 2 million retweets in 1 hour for Steve Harvey, kind of crazy.
I think that's what made it the best was all the Steve Harvey memes that came afterwards. That is what gave me my night pretty much because it was going on well into the next morning. So, and I look at it this way. You guys know how I feel about Steve Harvey. I personally hate him. I hate how he tells women how to act and how to behave and how they should act if they want to catch a man, but yet he's on his 4th marriage. So it's like, you're telling me how to live my life, but you can't read 3 words. So.
Wait, hold up. He's on his 4th marriage?
Yes.
Did not know that.
Exactly.
I
I laugh at that, his books and all his self-help stuff about trying to get women married. He's a clown.
Oh God. I mean, I think it was blown out of proportion. He did just make a mistake. However, I am Dominican, and I know that you know, they go crazy. Like, people from other countries go crazy with this, especially with people.
Wow.
So, big deal to them.
No, for sure. Well, moving on to our next topic, we're going to talk about Gilbert Arenas and his WNBA comments. Just a little refresher. He was saying, if I'm not mistaken, he said that that if they were to be a little bit more good looking, they would be able to sell out to stadiums. If I'm not mistaken, was that it, Shina?
I actually can talk on this a lot more too. So basically, he said that if they didn't all look like butch lesbians or women who came from Orange is the New Black, the WNBA would have higher ratings.
Basically, Shina said it right. Gilbert Arenas said that WNBA players seem to shed their butch lesbian image and become pretty girls, kind of like how the lingerie football league took, tomboy girls, but put them in bras and panties and made a profit off of it. Should the WNBA do the same, or should they keep that manly woman look, intact? It's not really politically correct, but does Gilbert have a point?
Okay, so I'll start this off.
Want to be brave.
Okay, does the WNBA need help with marketing? Absolutely. I definitely think that they try very hard to be politically correct and try to not insult people by not taking advantage of some of the assets that they have. Do I feel like the women need to be dressed in bras and panties? No. I am personally not a fan of the lingerie football league because no one takes that serious at all.
Lingerie football league?
Yeah, there is. And no one looks at that as an actual league or as an actual sport. They look at it to see women in underwear. These women in the WNBA are very talented. That being said, you have a lot of women that play that are gorgeous. Why aren't they being marketed? You had Skylar Diggins, who had every rapper trying to date her. Lil Wayne was like going on a personal stalker mission. Drake was stalking her. Everyone was stalking her, and she was barely marketed. I can't tell you the last thing I've seen her in. Same with what's the other girl's name? Elena Del Don. There are tons of women that I feel like they don't take advantage of, and that's the one thing that they have over the men's league is that kind of sex appeal that they can take advantage of, and you can do it in a tasteful way without putting women in their underwear. Do I agree with Gilbert Arenas? Absolutely not. He's a troll, and he's always looking for something that keeps his name in the press. He needs to focus on what his children's mom is doing on Instagram instead of focusing on the women.
I actually agree with that because I was thinking that. I'm like, if you think about it, Swine Cash said it the best on Twitter. She said if we keep paying attention to him, we're just kind of giving him more of an opportunity to talk. If we ignore him, maybe he'll just go away. And that's probably the best thing we could do. Like you said, Shina, like his comments were just out of line. But yes, the WNBA does need more marketing, but putting women in bras and panties isn't going to sell out tickets. It's just going to take away from the integrity of the sport.
Okay, can I play devil's advocate?
Go ahead, Ashley.
I think the WNBA is beyond repair, and right now they should just go in full YOLO mode and make it a month-long season, tour around the country, ladies in their bras and panties, kind of, volleyball style, and just totally milk it, because the WNBA cannot be saved. The NBA has just become too much of a star-driven league with too much money in it, because Gilbert Arenas is someone who stole so much money that they had to name an NBA clause after him where they could just write him checks for sitting on the bench. He is the poster child for making money for doing nothing because the league is so fat and rich already.
Well, they did the same thing for Stephon Marbury too. Remember, when they banned him from Madison Square Garden, and he was like at home, and he would go to Lakers games and sit courtside when the Knicks played, and he would collect his $90 million check.
You can't put the NBA versus the WNBA, and what the ladies are making overseas. You know, why do they have any incentive to even play in the WNBA and make a freaking elementary school teacher's salary? You know, the WNBA should just look their wounds and just, you know, go full yellow. You know, it'll bring in money.
I don't think bras and panties are the answer, but maybe, like, you know, like you said, like the volleyball uniforms. They are actual real uniforms, but they're cuter.
And they look sporty.
Yeah. But they definitely have to change the entire structure, even down to how they draft women. They can't use the same drafting format as they do for the NBA, where it's like the best player goes to the worst market. They need to put their best player in their best market so they can market the hell out of that. That's number one. They need to change their season. I mean, I get they don't do it during the regular NBA season because the women play overseas, but I actually think if they did like a shorter version, maybe. I mean, the season's already like 3 months, but if they did it for like a month and a half, sometime during the NBA season, or maybe more towards the end of the men's season, and use that marketing, so play it off each other, as opposed, because during the summer, sports is down anyway. That's the problem baseball is having. That's why no one's watching baseball, because during the summer, no one cares about sports.
Well, we can kind of curtail that. I think the nobody cares about baseball thing is overrated and for another day, because MLB isn't taking any losses in the money column. So I think there's two sides to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely touch on that another day, because So.
All right, so moving on along to the next topic. Of course, you guys have heard about Odell Beckham Junior's little clash on the field with Josh Norman. Well, least to say, it was definitely unsportsmanlike, and that cost him a 1-game suspension. But it kind of takes it back to the video of him checking out the other player's butt. So is he somehow annoyed? Like, is he having issues with people calling him gay? What's the problem? If you're gay, just own up to it. Who cares?
I don't think you can. It's not that simple in football. You can't just come out the closet. And it was more than just them, more than Odell possibly being gay or not. You don't take a bat out in front of another dude and make, any kind of taunts. And some of that has nothing to do with being gay. Just physically taking that and saying, we're going to ram this up your ass, so to speak, it isn't necessarily a gay taunt. It's just an intimidation factor. So anything like that is just uncalled for, and it would rile me up for a game, too. So the question is, was Odell in the right or wrong if this situation did in fact occur?
Well, I mean, it sounds stupid, to be 100% honest, because you're in front of media, and the fact that no one was really catching that, even though that footage was released the other day, it came out, and I'm like, that still seems a little sus. Like, of course, you're coming with your new mascot, so if you're gonna attack somebody, that's just plain stupid. But I'm sure that I'm sure a lot of people heard the back and forthing if those words really were exchanged.
Yeah, I think one thing we have to remember too is that football is an extremely passionate game, and the mentality that most of those guys have when they're going out is, I don't want to say to kill or be killed, because I think that's extreme, but it's like to win the game. It's an aggressive game, and everyone has an aggressive mentality when you're going out. So if you have tension that's been building up all week, and then you come out with some sort of intimidation factor, of course, that is definitely going to play a part in how you react to something. And if you're already on edge, as soon as someone pushes that hot button, the fuse is going to blow. So,
is being gay a hot button, or is it something that, like in the Army when they were out there with the don't ask, don't tell? Is it a problem in football still now?
Yeah, the NFL is the same type of policy. You likened it correctly. It's, you don't speak about things like that. It's about, you're going to be the loud guy in the locker room, you're going to be the quiet guy in the locker room. So just stay quiet about that. We saw how the league has reacted to hot button topics like that. Players have straight out come out and said that their religion will not abide by that. They think, that's a sin. So players will straight up tell other players, you're going to go to hell because you're gay. they've said that. Chris Carter, I think, made a remark like that. Adrian Peterson, most notably.
Wow. Have they made remarks like that about domestic violence?
Adrian Peterson. Let's do I need to tell you guys about the tale of Adrian Peterson?
This is another story for another day. Another time.
Gay people can't get married, but I'm gonna go have 8 baby mamas
Right.
and all kinds of nonsense. But yeah, another day. But for Odell Beckham Jr., his immaturity, whatever that happens, you got to keep it off the field.
Yeah.
I don't care what they say. Players, remember when the story, at least, of Kevin Garnett allegedly saying Happy Mother's Day to Tim Duncan on the anniversary of Tim Duncan's mom's death?
Yeah.
You gotta have, that's kind of a rumor, but that same concept. You gotta keep it off the field. He has to be a professional, and this is not the first time.
I think one thing we also have to remember too is that OBJ is still very young, and I know that's not an excuse, but I think it goes back to the league and them and the whole education thing. Is like you're putting these kids out there on the field.
How young is he?
Who have a
22.
who still have a college mentality and expecting them to act like adults. But I mean, when you think about it, when you were 22 and how you acted, when I was 22, I had a short fuse too. So it's not an excuse though, because you're making a very grown-up salary, so you should be able to act like
22 was my favorite year because I finally became an adult. I always say that was my adult year. If I had $1 million, it would have been my adult year plus done. So I have no sympathy for Odell. He's been like that his whole career. He's been cocky, so I'm sorry. I'm mean.
No, it's all good. So we're just going to move it along from the sports topics, and we're going to get into something which is really, really funny, but it's a person I hold close and dear to my heart, R. Kelly. He is my favorite R&B artist.
I'm out.
I'm obsessed, least to say, but I don't know if you, well, just to recap on Huffington Post, what's it called, Shine? It's HuffPost Live, right?
HuffPost Live.
Yeah. He was on an interview with HuffPost Live, and I think it was an Ask the Twitter questions, right? It was one of those?
Well, basically what happened was HuffPost Live decided to have him on, and they had one of those Ask Me Anything type formats. So the day before, they had started marketing on their various social media accounts that they were going to have R. Kelly on, and if you had any questions to ask, send them in. So, I mean, HuffPost Live is very liberal. Anything goes. So they knew what they were doing. They're not a fan of his. Like, they knew exactly how this was going to play out, even from having Caroline as the host. As you guys know, I've worked with her before.
Mm-hmm.
A feminist. She's very serious. She's kind of like a no-nonsense type interviewer. So we knew from the beginning that I knew how this was going to play out. And I don't know why R. Kelly's PR team continues to allow him to do anything in the public eye. Like, if he wants to put out albums, cool. Just let him. He doesn't have to do press anymore. Just like Beyonce doesn't have to do press. Like, just let him put out an album, maybe tweet it out a couple of times and let it roll. But by allowing him to continue to do these interviews, they are setting him up for failure. So I'm starting to think that his PR team hates him, and they're doing this for laughs, because this is insane at this point.
Can you name one celebrity Q&A that actually went right for Twitter? Let's think back at the Drea incident, the Omarion incident. None of these ever turned out right. So I don't know what R. Kelly, who has a resume of just bad stuff as long as Santa's good list, like what he was trying to accomplish. When you piss on kids, you kind of shouldn't do these live events. Let me just leave it at that.
I don't know if you could ever live that down. I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
There's no expiration date on child molestation. Like, I know there's one in the courts, but there's not one just
morality
in life. Like, people are not going to let that down. And not just that, like, that was a huge story.
Like, what exactly did she say? Do you guys remember?
Well, piggybacking, first of all, that was a huge story back before social media came out. And people were getting that tape on VHS. So that tells you how big that was.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And people still talk about it to this day. So, I mean, the line of questioning, like how Ashley talks about yellow, it literally went from how do you still stay relevant in the music after being in the music industry for like 20 years?
Back in the closet.
Right. To how it literally went from that to how do you feel about when your fans say they can't support you because you're a child molester? So it like went from
Exactly what she said, child molester.
well, she said something similar, but basically she was reading questions from Twitter and all the questions that were coming in
Oh, what about? Okay.
him molesting these girls, and he continues to ignore these questions every single time they're asked, and he's never acknowledged it.
Because
So,
it tells him what to answer.
I was gonna say that. I think that's the issue. If he were to maybe just address them, and I don't want to say it's not gonna go away, but it would kind of help people maybe move on from the topic. If they're like the girl is what our age now, which is kind of scary and just kind of puts our age out there. But I mean, I've stayed away. Like it was hard for me because I'm actually a big fan of his. But at one point I was boycotting because I'm like I can't listen to this man after knowing. And of course, like you said, Shine, everyone had that VHS, so people were seeing it. It's still out. It's still out there. And besides, Dave Chappelle.
Oh my God! Oh right, Dave Chappelle's my favorite song for a long time.
Yeah, so it's kind of terrible. But I think if he were to just address them and kind of just put it out there, maybe people could move on from this, but it's still tough to say.
It's
people
hard.
are never going to move on. They shouldn't move on. This is a disgusting thing that happened. I don't know why the music industry has forgiven him. Like, he needs to be shunned, just like they're doing Bill Cosby right now. Like, it was disgusting. And he continues to be a creep. Like, he doesn't even try to play it off. He has been a creep now literally for the past 20 years. It's
He was dating Aaliyah.
I was gonna say age is just a number. Is about
He was dating Aaliyah. Wasn't she like 14 when he married her? Didn't they get married?
Exactly.
when they got married. And not just that, like, it's a known secret in Chicago that he was known for being at the high schools, at this, like, particular McDonald's, picking up high school girls. Like, everyone knows it. And that's why, like, when he said, like, oh, I'm going to leave here and go to McDonald's, Twitter blew up. And they're like, you're just...
Oh, shit.
They're like, you're just cocky. Like, because he would always go to the McDonald's. He would be posted up outside of this.
Happy Meals.
Exactly.
He's like happy.
And it sucks because it's like, if you think about it, if and I hate to bring race into this, but if these were
Say it.
little
Don't say it.
if these were little white girls, it would be a huge issue, and R. Kelly would be doing no interviews. He'd be holed up in a little Chicago apartment somewhere.
You would probably still be doing time for that too.
Exactly, but the fact that these were little black girls, no one cared because these were little black girls from the hood in Chicago, and they just let it go. So, yeah, I'm not here for that. I don't care. He
I
doesn't.
thought you were gonna say all those songs he wrote, all those romance songs he wrote were for little girls. I was gonna say don't ruin the song. He wrote Bump and Grind for some like kindergartner.
Oh my God, ew.
I'm gonna throw in some geek in here, and this is just reminding me of some Marin Trent. Everything you're saying that he beat.
Oh goodness, Game of Thrones reference, yeah. Totally.
Okay, anyway.
Speaking of geek, as you guys all know, Star Wars came out last Friday, December 18th. I am not a fan. I don't think I ever will. But I can appreciate the fandom. Because if you think about it, like back then, like in the 70s, it was the 70s when the first movie came out, girls?
1977, yeah.
Yes, like I can understand why people were into it because it was like a futuristic type of film, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know why. I just can't get into it. But did anyone see it here?
Yes.
I find out. So tell us, how was the movie?
Mildred, go first because I'm not gonna have anything nice to say.
She wants to follow me to trash me. Anyway, okay, so I liked the movie. I have, I know Ashley didn't, and I have a couple coworkers who didn't, but that's, their thing. I liked it. I think it was done well enough for me, and I feel like this is just the first episode, to start the next line of episodes. So I know there were flaws in the movie, but I appreciate the fun of it and the fact that it went back to, when I was a kid and I used to watch them because, the prequels I didn't want to remember the prequels, but the movie was good, I think. I think the two new actors were great. I liked the new little droid, BB-8. He was my favorite. And Chewie, seeing Chewie again was nice. And I thought it was done well. I'm not gonna say it was the best, but it was good for me. I had fun. But at the end, I kind of want to see it again because I had a very rude audience behind me. So there were parts of it I did not get, and I was livid. But some people are just loud in their respect. But all in all, I liked the movie. I did enjoy it. My coworkers were kind of on the fence. They were like they were so disappointed
Why
because
were they disappointed?
they said that J.J. Abrams did a better job with Star Trek, which I'm gonna see. I haven't seen it because I'm not a Star Trek fan.
That's
But
the third one that's coming out. The one that they showed the trailer for.
well, I don't know which one. He didn't do the first one, or he just
He did the first one, but he didn't do this third one. This is a different direction.
Well, talking about the first one, that it was nicely done. Like compared to what he did there and this one, it was nothing like.
I must say, I did like Star Trek better than I like this movie. Yeah, the first one.
That's what they told me to watch it, so I'm gonna watch that and see what the difference is. And since I don't follow Star Trek though, that's why I didn't watch it. But I will watch it and see what's the big deal.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of people criticize JJ because they said Star Trek tried to be too much Star Wars. So I don't know. No one's ever happy.
Yeah.
My review of Star Wars, The Force Awakens, I thought it was fun. Like, I can't say that was a bad movie. I don't think it was a bad movie. It just wasn't Star Wars. It was very Disney. We got about 2 minutes of plot development about Rey's character. I think the first about 15 minutes were great, and then everything else was just kind of like the good guys going on an adventure. It didn't have any intrigue to it, so that's kind of why it was a flat movie.
I would admit that the villain. I mean, I didn't care too much for the villain.
I don't know what's going on that.
No, the villain. I get where people said he fell flat, but I think that I don't think it's about the villain because it's like the other movies were centered on Darth Vader and Darth Vader was a big character, but I think this one it's not about him. I think it will be more maybe about Luke Skywalker. I think we don't get a lot of that. I don't want to get any spoilers, but
Wait, which one? The next one or this one?
no, this this new series of Star Wars. I think
the new trilogy. Okay.
Because the other ones were like Darth Vader, and the prequels kind of alluded to like Darth Vader's story and how he became, and then the other three, he was a big villain, Darth Vader. So
Yes,
this
ladies think
I think about him.
so do you ladies think that if anyone, for example, myself, if I actually want to watch it, do I have to go back and watch the other movies in order to know what's going on in this one, or can I just skip them?
No, you can just watch it.
You can just watch it, yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of extreme.
I'm with Erica here. I have never seen a Star Wars movie. Maybe on TBS when it was on. Maybe I've caught like one segment before it went to commercial. But,
I've seen Spaceballs.
right. I wanted to see it just because, as a bandwagon fan, and I'm like super pro-black, and I was like, hey, I just want to see it because Twitter says it's going to be cool. But my sister just messaged me because she's watching us all the way in Curacao, and she just said that to her, John Boyega was the truth because he was in Attack the Block, which is about like a movie about these teenagers defending their South London block from alien invasions. So she felt like this movie was right up his alley. So for you Star Wars fans, how do you think that he did in the movie? Because I know you guys would give me the real, especially Ashley.
I didn't like him.
I loved him.
You know why I didn't like him? Because what in the history of Star Wars did they need a gag reel? He was just the person. He was just the funny man. And they were like, oh, he's just great stormtrooper. He quite literally was the janitor. He was the janitor of like the
They sent him on his first mission, and he backed off. I mean,
He said he was the janitor. He said he was in charge.
He sent him on the first mission with I forgot the guy's name, Poe Cameron. What is it?
Poe Dameron was the pilot. He went on his first mission to kill people in Jakku.
He didn't like it. He didn't like it because he felt like he was doing wrong, so he got out of it.
Exactly, but then he was going to be a punk and try to buy his way back. Remember when they got to that woman's house, that cafe spot? These new characters I already forget, but he was already trying to like ditch his way out. But the attack of Kylo Ren into that planet when they tried to get Rey physically.
But he wasn't gonna go back to that life though.
he was just gonna be a punk somewhere in the outer rim.
Because
It's not
I don't know.
saying do nothing and
I,
Ben. We can't do
I don't know.
this.
I don't know. I think that he starts off with his stormtrooper, and he was his first mission, and he didn't like it, so he switched sides. Well, I guess he switched sides, and he realized what he was a part of, and he doesn't want to fight for them anymore. So he tries to fight for the resistance. Kind of changes his mind in the middle, but he comes back. I don't know. I liked him. I think there's more to him than they showed in the story, and that's probably where the plot thing, falls flat. But I think it's more. My coworker told me something today, but I don't want to say it because people are gonna be like, "Oh, like."
I don't want super spoilers, so let's not try to.
No, but
I'm just gonna say the discussion seems like it might be getting into spoilers, but I love how passionate you guys are about it. Me and Shiner are like,
Then debate.
I liked him.
Someday.
I don't know what she's talking about. I really liked him. I thought he did a good job. I don't know.
I like
The Hunger Games, so I'm losing here, and
I
I'm
like
a
Ray.
Hunger Games fan. So
well, it's okay. We'll talk. We can move on to the next topic that Shina loves. Shina's a huge Harry Potter fan. She is obsessed.
This is all you.
I wish you had your mug so you could show it because I want to steal it.
oh man, I should have it. It's on the way in my kitchen.
Well, speaking of, what this topic leads into is I believe a play is coming out, right? And Hermione's character is going to be played by a black actress.
Yes, so there is a new play coming out in London that still follows the Harry Potter story called Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and it takes place 19 years after the last book or scene, whatever, from Harry Potter. So they casted 3 new people to be in this play, and they casted a black actress to play Hermione Granger, and of course racist Twitter hopped on and had a meltdown, a fallout. Of course, they're ready to boycott again. So
Like Star Wars.
exactly, just like Star Wars. But what made me laugh is because J.K. Rowling, who, if you guys don't know, is the creator of the Harry Potter series, aka the God, and people love tweeting her, asking her opinion, and she's like queen of the clapback. So someone tweeted her and was like, what does J.K. Rowling feel about Hermione being black? And just a little bit of background, Hermione was always played by Emma Watson in the movies, and she's a white woman. She's great in the movies, and so J.K. Rowling tweeted back, I never specified her race. All I said was that she had frizzy hair and brown eyes, so I love black Hermione, and shut it down right there. So I personally think it's an interesting choice. I just want to see how it does. Like, I think it's going to be great. If she's great in the role, then sure. I can get why people are upset because unlike the Hunger Games, when Rue came out, we didn't know what she looked like, except for what we imagined that she looked like in the book. People kind of have a picture in their head about what Hermione is supposed to look like because we had 10 years worth of movies from what she looked like. Do I think it's that big of a deal that racist Twitter needs to have like a whole meltdown and start boycotting Harry Potter? No, you're not going to boycott Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling is still going to make $1 billion just for waking up in the morning. And you're still going to watch the movies. You're still going to go to Universal Studios and whatever other parks and whatever else. And I'm still going to be paying for J.K. Rowling's kids to go to college because I'm still going to support it. So...
Well, my main issue with this whole thing is the fact that a lot of people always are quick to attack if they're switching race, for example. Like I mentioned this earlier in our chat before we were getting ready for our hangout, is the fact that a lot of people are suggesting for Idris Elba to be James Bond, well, the next James Bond. And a lot of people are like, no, James Bond should stay British, and why? Like, what's the big deal? If you can act, you deserve the job regardless of your background. So that's just my whole deal with it. If you can act well, you auditioned for it. They saw that you did a good job. That's why you got the part.
I think there's a time and place for changing characters' identities. Never an excuse for racism. If you have a genuine complaint, you should be able to voice it. But whenever it gets to a racist extreme, nah. But like I said, there's a time and place for changing a character's looks because it kind of does matter sometimes. I think for Fantastic Four, when people were mad at Michael B. Jordan, it's because we already have comic iterations of the Fantastic Four, of how Johnny Storm looks. So, but this is why I support it, because we have a failed TV series, and we already have a failed movie of the Fantastic Four. Is a new movie with a new cast look gonna change everything? No, it's not the first time around. You can experiment with it if you see it hasn't even gone right the first two times. I'm not against experimenting. But for this, I'm not sure why everyone's mad when no race was ever specified.
Right. And the thing with this too is, I can get if, let's say, the play was based off of the same time period, because like I said, people have an idea of what she already looked like because we had 10 years worth of movies.
Yeah.
But this takes place 19 years after the fact, so it's not even like the same characters. It's not even really close to the same plot. It's even, I mean, the kid who they got to play Ron was completely different. He's not some like freckled face redhead, and no one had a meltdown over that. So
That's true.
Yeah, I think it's really sad. Like I said, there's a time and place. Like one example of me being against casting a minority in place of a white actor is for the Iron Fist show. My boyfriend was even alluding to it. Half of it, like if the race is tied into a plot or a storyline, then you got to keep it the same. You can't just alter something drastically, but if it's a non-factor, then of course experiment, make things diverse. You can't just have white faces on everything. Definitely. Mildred, did you want to chime in?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that like I feel like people just I don't know. I feel like people just want to piss other people off and they just say random things, especially on Twitter. So like, the fact that there's a black actress playing what was assumed to be always a white role, they just want to. They're gonna talk about it because they want to create a stir, just like John Boyega being in Star Wars, who he was a complete new character. Like nobody ever heard of this character, and there were some people pissed off saying boycott Star Wars, which I think was another publicity bullshit because it makes no sense.
Well, boycott Star Wars a retaliation of the racists. So that was
it was a real thing. I thought it was a troll.
No. Boycott Star Wars was minorities boycotting Star Wars.
Because it was a black actor?
No, because of the racists.
Oh, because of the racism that came after that.
It was a weird sub-like movement.
Oh, that was weird. Okay. But anyway, I don't know. I just feel like people just like keep pissing people off.
Alrighty.
That is a big deal.
Well, moving it along to the next social trend, we want to talk about Sandra Bland, and this is something that I'm not really too educated on, which is terrible to say, but Shina was explaining to me earlier a little bit about it. Do you mind explaining it for those who don't know anything about it, like me?
yeah, I'll just give a quick background. Basically, last year, or was it earlier this year? Do you remember, Ashley?
It was earlier this year.
Yeah, earlier this year, a black woman by the name of Sandra Bland was driving in Texas and got pulled over by a police officer. It escalated pretty quickly. She ended up in jail, and 3 days later, they found her dead in her cell. The police officer said that she had committed suicide by hanging herself, but a lot of people questioned that. Well, one, how can you hang yourself in prison if they pretty much, well, not prison, but jail, if they take everything away from you that could potentially allow you to hang yourself or commit suicide? So, of course, it created a lot of tension as well as a lot of conversation surrounding police brutality and not just black men, but black women being unfairly targeted by police. And this week, we just found out that the police officers that were involved in the Sandra Bland arrest were not indicted, so that's another loss on the book.
Question: in the arrest, did they beat her? I don't remember the whole. I remember when she came out dead from the jail, but was she violently arrested? Because I don't remember that.
The video showed the police just totally going out their way to arrest her, and she said, "Look, I'm not doing anything. I'm wearing a sundress. What weapons I got over here? Like, there's nothing. What am I being pulled over for?" They said it was a failure to signal, like some petty charge. And the surveillance video is just them accosting her for no reason.
Yeah, pulling her out of her car, tasing her, knocking her to the ground. Yeah, it was just insane. And it really escalated very quickly. Like, 1 minute she's talking to the officer. I think one of the things that caught people was the fact that she kind of knew her rights. And then by her expressing her rights,
Hmm.
the officer was clearly upset because, it questioned his authority. So, yeah, it's just at this point, like, I don't even know what to say because it just keeps happening. So it's just like you start to get numb, and that's a terrible feeling. But it's like,
Hmm.
But don't you think this, like in light of, Sean King versus D-Ray, don't you think this makes the Black Lives Matter movement look a little silly at times?
well, that particular situation I thought was ridiculous. It's like we are all here for one purpose, and for you two to bicker like two college sorority girls was a joke.
Because in 1 week, Freddie Gray, Sandra Bland, both nothing done.
And that's the thing. It's like, but
Lost.
I will say I won't blame that on that movement because their whole purpose is to just bring awareness. They don't actually have any political power to change anything. And, we know that in the end, it depends on the people of power in those particular states. So, we can march, we can scream, we can tweet, we can put out videos and do all the stuff we want. But if you're in an area, let's say Texas, and you're in a predominantly white area where the police officers just have their own opinion, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean, the DA are friends with the police officers, it kind of doesn't matter. So I think it's just a deeper issue here, and it's just insane that this keeps happening. So
It's insane. You just summed it up. Ladies, what do you feel about this whole situation of police brutality?
It's funny because I saw a meme earlier that was saying that the whole Miss Universe pageant happened so that we wouldn't really find out about the whole Sandra Bland thing, and then I'm like, oh, what's going on with Sandra Bland? So I'm basically one of those who the meme was targeting in a sense, because I really didn't know too much about Sandra Bland and all the other stuff that's been happening this year, but it's just kind of similar to what Shina said, like you become numb to it, and it's just like, oh, okay, it's just another death, but it shouldn't be that way because it's just more attack on people of color, minorities everywhere. Like, are we really safe? Because we're in New York City, it's a melting pot. We are right in a certain sense, but not necessarily.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
I agree. It is, to me, is just like tragedy after tragedy. I think every time it happens is a tragedy because these people most of the time are innocent, or even if they are at fault, like for anything, they don't deserve to die. They don't deserve that kind of treatment. I don't think, like I feel like it's almost like I get the part where cops feel like it's me against them, whoever the other person is, and they're gonna act, and they're gonna, if you're not being what's the word, cooperative, they're gonna, they go from 0 to 60.
They use the same excuses over and over just to charge you with anything like resisting arrest. Like, what is that? That's such a vague term. But I think why Sandra Bland in particular, like this is how I felt about Eric Garner too, is the way in which they died. For Sandra Bland, she was hung up like news style. That's really significant for.
Also, she was found like,
That's not a joke for us. And for them to not have any sufficient evidence besides, oh, she just hung herself in her cell, when the evidence speaks contrary to that, is just scary because the KKK rose to power because the law enforcement were able to do whatever they wanted. So it's just like an endless, vicious cycle of the same types of crime.
right.
That's what's disgusting about this in particular.
yeah, absolutely. So.
Alrighty, well, we're gonna get ready to close it out. Thank you so much, guys,
We're
for
gonna
sticking
close on
with
a
us.
sad note, though. It's Christmas.
I know, that's what I was gonna say. As you can see, we're all festive, even Mildred with her Santa in the background, and if you could see it right over there somewhere.
Corner, it's right here.
It's right there. Well, we just want to wish you guys happy holidays, Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. To close it out, I'm Erica again. My Twitter handle is Curls in Sports, and Ashley, say farewell.
Cleats.
And Mildred and your Santa Claus, say farewell.
Bye, guys. I'm Mildred Barr at Mildred Barr. My Santa Claus says goodbye and Merry Christmas.
And Shana, can you light up your ears so we can?
My little reindeer antlers for everybody.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, these reindeer antlers are like 3 years old, and they're gonna keep living on till the batteries die. So, but guys, have a very happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, and Merry Christmas. And you can find me on Twitter at ShyMW. So that's at SHAIM as in Mary W. Bye, guys.
And next week, where can they find us? 9 o'clock.
Oh yeah, Tuesdays at 9 o'clock.
Tuesdays at 9 o'clock.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, one.
Subscribe to us on YouTube, which is Brew Chat.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Oh yeah, just subscribe on our YouTube page.
Sorry guys, this is our first episode. We just found our identity. Thanks to Mildred, by the way. She came up with the term, which is Brew, with an adorable emoji of a teacup.
Oh.
I try.
I mean, I'll pretend that this is a cup, but
It was a sweet cup.
yes. All right, everyone. Have a good night. See you guys next week.
Merry Christmas.
See you next week, guys.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Happy holidays.